All right, and we're back with another episode of the Lakers Fast Break podcast. It's Gerald Glassford coming right back at you here from Lakers Fast Break, Pop Culture Cosmos, Inside Sports Fantasy Football, and Game Source. We truly appreciate everyone out there that's on all of our shows, and if you can, please give us a 5-star review on Apple Podcasts. Plus, if you can like, share, subscribe, follow, or do anything that you can to support us right here at the Lakers Fast Break, Pop Culture Cosmos, Basketball University on Medium.com, and the Hoopheads Podcast Network, along with our good friends at Lakerholics.com. It is sincerely appreciated. Well, I got on Laker Tom, Jamie Sweet, TJ Johnson, and Magic Man Sean Grice on yesterday's program, but I would be remiss if I didn't get an update on NBA free agency and thoughts from a good man indeed, but you got to check out what he's doing at Medium.com, at Medium.com/basketball-university. That's Basketball University at Medium.com. It is Spencer Young. Spencer, great to have you back. Sorry about the confusion yesterday on times because I had to record one with Sean at this time, and then the guys are on late night, so I apologize, but I wanted to make sure I hear your thoughts on NBA free agency.
Yeah, it's been an interesting free agency period, and there's still a lot of dominoes left to fall. We still know where Kawhi's going.
Yeah.
Dennis Schroeder, Reggie Jackson, Danny Green, Kelly Oubre. So there's still a lot left to happen, I think.
Absolutely. And for us here with the Lakers, obviously the most interesting domino yet to fall is with one Dennis Schroeder. And part of that equation fell through for him with Washington because Washington completed what is now to be a 5-team trade when all is said and done, which includes the Lakers way back on draft day. Remember draft day, everyone, way long ago? But yes, it's now 5 teams, and ultimately it's going to get Spencer Dinwiddie to Washington to pair up with Bradley Beal. And I wanted to ask you this. I mean, is that a good pairing? A lot of people, the Washington fans, are like praising it or whatnot. I see Spencer Dinwiddie, when all is said and done, as a average starting NBA point guard. He's a good, not great, and he comes with some flaws as far as his shooting and injuries are concerned.
Yeah, I think he's, in a similar mold. I guess Lakers fans would be familiar with like Dennis Schroeder because I think if Spencer Dinwiddie's your 6th man like he was for so long, then you're in a great position. If he's, your starting point guard and he's obviously going to play a super high usage role, that's where you can critique, his shot selection, his 3-point shooting, and of course the fact that he's had, I think, 2 ACL tears now. So
yes.
Yeah, so, I mean, like I said, as a 6th man, I think he's great. As a starter, he puts up numbers because he plays like a style where everything he does is high volume. I feel like, he'll drive the rim a bunch of times a game. He'll shoot a lot of pull-up threes, probably too many for my liking.
Yeah.
And, he'll get like a lot of kick-out passes to shooters. So he's all right, I guess.
Well, 3 years, $62 million. Is he good enough for that?
I wouldn't be the one paying that, but I guess in Washington's case, I don't know. If that makes Bradley Beal want to stay, then anything's worth it, I guess.
Well, it all depends ultimately on the wins and losses. That will ultimately decide whether or not Bradley Beal wants to stay. I commend him on his stubbornness to go ahead and actually devotion to the Washington Wizards franchise. I mean, many other players we've seen have already wanted to go ahead and get on out in similar circumstances. So I do praise Bradley Beal for his willingness to ride along this ride when it comes to Washington and what they're doing. So we'll see what happens. It maybe through another average season at best, because I don't see them getting over the hump. I know New York traded for, or at least they got signed because, I'm sorry, it was a sign. I don't know if it was a signed trade, but Oklahoma did waive. They bought out the contract and because he asked for a buyout, and that was Kemba Walker. Kemba Walker asked for a buyout, and then he ended up landing in New York City with the Knicks. And I mean, there are, again, problems with that one because he has chronic knee injuries now in the last 3 years, and I'm not sure exactly where that fits. He might not be able to play every game and whatnot. Plus, they have a plethora of guards that need playing time. I think I was joking to you the other day, Emmanuel Quickly, about how he's going to be that type of guard where they just keep throwing guards in front of him and then realize halfway through the season he should have been the guard all along.
Yeah, that might happen.
It's just so funny because he'll never get, I think, the respect he deserves, at least at this point in time. But that's just coming from someone who watched his game at Kentucky. In fact, actually, I had him on my big board, a little bit higher than what most people had. In fact, it was right around where he got picked, and I was fortunate enough to see him progress into a good player. But we'll see what happens. But yeah, it was so many guards right there on the roster for New York. We'll see what happens there as they go into contention. How far up on the food chain that they go in the Eastern Conference, we'll wait and see, because Miami did a lot to go ahead and build up on their roster, including getting Victor Oladipo today on a minimum contract, which was a good get for Miami, which now will get his bird rights if they retain him through the rest of the season. So I want to hear your thoughts before we head back to Lakers and the Dennis Schroeder situation. Your thoughts on day 3 of NBA free agency? Obviously not as quite as loud as the previous 2 days. John Collins is a happy man, 5 years, $125 million. There's various signings all over the place, but nothing too out there outside of the Spencer Dinwiddie deal. But your thoughts on day 3 of NBA free agency?
I thought John Collins was an overpay, to be honest. Just in my opinion, I actually think Trae Young might not get enough credit for how heliocentric their offense is and how dependent everything they do is on him. So John Collins in the playoffs shot, I was taking a look at it. He shot 10 times a game, which is role player territory, right? Now you just committed 5 years, 125, and you committed 200 to Trae Young. If John Collins was someone you think is a second star on a championship team, then it makes sense. But for someone who shot 10 times a game, I can't. He played like a role player on offense, in my opinion.
I mean, he clicks a lot of the boxes and checks off a lot of those boxes that are out there in regards to the fact he can hit from the outside, he can rebound, he can block shots, he's got great athleticism, but there always seems to be something missing. Now, mind you, his numbers regressed because they got a lot of individuals around him in this past season, but is he a strong enough number 2 that's going to take you over the hump? We'll see. We'll see if that Eastern Conference Finals trip was not a fluke or if it was a mirage. So we'll see what happens. I think this year will define actually the future short term going forward for Atlanta. I think if they go and they regress back to where a lot of people thought they were and say maybe they played above their heads and played to the roles of others that were injured and things of that nature that we saw from, the same things that are being said about Phoenix, and same things even be said to an extent for about Milwaukee, about how those teams took advantage of other situations. We'll see what happens, but Atlanta could be in a situation where maybe their really, really good team is just a really, really good team that got hot at the right time and may not be able to duplicate that going forward. So we'll see what happens there. But any other impressions for you on day 3 on NBA free agency? Because I definitely want to get to talk to about the possible future for Dennis Schroeder.
Yeah. I think Oladipo, and obviously on a minimum, there's no risk there. And I think in the regular season, he's probably not going to contribute that much since he's coming off a major injury, like one of many major injuries. But
yeah,
I think as the 5th starter, or as the 5th player in a closing lineup with Lowry, Butler, Adebayo, and PJ Tucker, I think that's pretty formidable. So,
well, let me ask you this: I mean, how formidable is it? Because that conversation's been going on all day. People are not putting them; they're putting them at right now, for the most part, analysts, pundits, things of that nature that I've heard on radio, podcasts, ESPN, the whole 9 yards, talking about Miami as still a tier 2 Eastern Conference. Let's say like a battling for the number 3 spot, the number 4 spot, and they're not expecting them to crack the top 2 even with that lineup.
Well, okay, yeah. Well, I guess top 2, like obviously everyone's picked the Nets as like the odds-on favorite to win the title, and Milwaukee just won the title and swept the Heat, so I guess I'd give them the clear benefit of the doubt there. But I think the Heat might, barring a really good Ben Simmons trade, I think the Heat are probably number 3, in my opinion. I just think their closing lineup, their only weakness is probably shooting, but there's no one you can like hunt or target.
I think some size. I think size too is going to be an issue because Milwaukee and I think Brooklyn can throw out some size a little bit better than what, on occasion, if needed, than what Miami can match up with because Adebayo is a little bit small. Plus, they don't have any other large defenders that may be able to cover Giannis Antetokounmpo and maybe even KD to an extent as well. So that would be that because that's a hard reach for Butler. I mean, Butler, as much as I appreciate a player he is, and I congratulate him for the nice extension he just got. It's going to be a hard thing for him to guard and cover both Antetokounmpo and then also trying to cover Kevin Durant. I think maybe Adebayo can do it for a spell, but I don't think he's as agile as you would like to see covering Durant or covering Antetokounmpo as well. But we'll see. We'll see what happens. But I do like the roster, the way it filled out the rest of them, because you've got Tyler Hero, who was no hero in the previous season, but he can definitely, he's young, so he can definitely progress back to where he was in the bubble. And then also you've got Duncan Robinson, who you just signed for 5 years, $90 million. So you've got a potent 8-man rotation there that I think could really make some damage and make some headway in the Eastern Conference. Want to give a big shout out to Felix. Thank you so much for watching. He's at he's at work, so he's listening in. So thank you so much for doing so. But this leads us to the Western Conference and back over to the Dennis Schroeder situation because outside of Kawhi, and we don't have a good beat on what Kawhi wants to do because only Kawhi seems to know what Kawhi wants to do. I know Laker Tom was letting us know about the rumors about possibly him asking for a 1-on-1. Maybe that's the case. We're not sure about that, but he's obviously still the number 1 guy on the big board for free agents right now, but he's a most likely a return scenario for the LA Clippers. When it comes to what's left over, Dennis Schroeder is hiking up higher on the list, but the problem is the options for him are getting smaller and smaller. I still see New Orleans as a possibility. I mean, there's just not many more after that. What are your thoughts on Dennis Schroeder and where he might end up? Because I don't think it'll be the Lakers, but if it is, it's going to be on a very small 1-year contract.
No, I can't see it on the Lakers. Not after
there's going to be some bad blood if that happens.
Yeah, no, not after the playoff performance. The whole year of him saying contract negotiations need to be fair, and just him feuding with Kyle Kuzma. He was inexperienced this past year, and I think we're ready to move on. That's why we got Kendrick Nunn and.
Well, I'm ready to move on. Yes, I appreciate what he did, but unfortunately, he did wear out his welcome. It was offered the 4-year 84, which in hindsight looks really good right about now. But are there any options for him? Because I see again, I'm thinking New Orleans, but that's just me.
Yeah, maybe. I'm actually almost at a loss of like where he could go.
Toronto, maybe.
Yeah, it's like slim pickings at this point. Reggie Jackson's also out there at this point. I think you could talk yourself into paying him over Dennis Schroeder,
especially after his playoff performance.
Yeah, but Reggie Jackson, the thing is, he always has like a return option with the Clippers. Dennis Schroeder does not. He's not coming. There's too many guards, and the locker room probably doesn't want him back, to be honest.
Well, but there is a prospect of him possibly being able to sign for more if he goes in a sign and trade, which would mean the Lakers might get something back.
Okay, maybe in some twisted world, he might go to Dallas or Philly. Those are two teams that can use ball handlers, but it's gonna be tough either way.
Absolutely. If Felix is saying no more Dennis, most likely that's the case. I mean, I think we are the last scenario for him, and he is the last scenario for the Lakers as well. But I would like to see a sign and trade. I agree with you, Felix. A sign and trade hopefully would be the best option for him. I mean, because so he can salvage any kind of contract that he can at this point. He may just have to take a 1 year and just maybe even bulk that up. He would still have to do a sign and trade, but I agree with Spencer. There's not that many teams. I mean, he mentioned Philadelphia, he mentioned Dallas, I mentioned New Orleans. There's not many teams that are left that need or really just are out there to have a ball handler type situation that they need. So I agree with you, Spencer, that it looks like more and more that he played his hand too much and he's going to get burnt by it. So, but I will ask you this, my friend. You were right in the middle of what was going on yesterday with all the NBA free agency for day two, and you saw who the Lakers picked up. You and I were concerned on day one after the retirement home wheeled in, and all the elder ex-Lakers joined up, and I was going, oh no. And you heard my thoughts. I think you gave it a C, if I
Yeah.
remember correctly, and I gave it a D plus at that time. I was highly encouraged, though, by what happened in day two of free agency and getting Kendrick Nunn, getting Malik Monk. Those guys can get hot. You can really go ahead and do a lot with them during the course of a game. Kendrick Nunn is just a scorer, plain and simple. I wish that Kendrick Nunn was taller, but he's only 6'2". I know there's talk about him as a spot one, but maybe working at the two. I think he would probably go ahead and have to be the starting number two at this point. I mean, you don't sign him for the 2 year, $5 million a year, 2 year, $10 million total contract, although it's a player option, so he probably will opt out of it. But your thoughts on day two? Yes, they also got Carmelo Anthony, who was a 40% shooter from 3-point area. I mean, the defense has not gotten better with these additions,
No.
but the 3-point shooting has. And I really like the fact that Kendrick Nunn is now a part of the Los Angeles Lakers.
Yeah, so actually, the last time I was on, I said the only way the Lakers could get young talent that could play in the rotation was summer league. So obviously, they proved me wrong by getting Malik Monk and Kendrick Nunn. So I think, especially in the regular season, that's going to pay off tremendously. I think in the playoffs, I'm a little concerned about perimeter defense. I guess whoever out of Wayne Ellington, Malik Monk, and Kendrick Nunn can be consistent on offense and consistent on defense is going to get the minutes. Carmelo's fine. He finally became a role player in Portland, so I think he'll fit in fine. Um, would I rather have Markieff Morris? Maybe. Uh, I guess Markieff Morris, the problem is if he's not getting consistent minutes, then his 3-point shot can be all over the place, which
Yes.
same thing of Wes Matthews, who I want him to be back, but on the same token, if he's going to play 5 to 10 minutes a game and shoot 2 3-pointers, those 2 3-pointers most likely aren't going in because he's a rhythm player where he needs minutes to like get in the game. So I think they're good moves. I'd be slightly concerned about the playoff rotation because there aren't too many like two-way players that play offense and defense, but it's still a good move, and they got a lot younger, so I was impressed.
Yeah, I really like the fact that they salvaged whatever they could out of it, and I gave them a higher grade. Ended up so far with all the additions, including Westbrook, I'd give them right now a C plus. And I know that Laker Tom still has them in the A range, which is not unexpected. But Spencer, is your thoughts on has your grade moved up or down any because of it?
Yeah, I would move it up. I'd look at B, I guess. I think. Well, so here's the thing. I think this upcoming roster is probably like the most modern Lakers team we've seen in the LeBron AD era. I think last year's team probably had like the most talented individual pieces, but they lacked a ton of team cohesion and locker room chemistry. And the championship team was just like the ultimate defense first team great with a great locker room presence. So I guess you can I maybe with the context of the fact that you weren't gonna bring back all of the pieces from last year's team, there's no scenario where we could actually run it back with everyone. Maybe you could bump my grade up to a B plus. I don't know, maybe.
Well, I think there's still a couple more things that the Lakers need to do and need to tweak. I'm not keen on Kent Bazemore being your starting small forward. I mean, that's probably the most likely scenario at this point, just because of the fact he's on the younger side of the 30s than some of the other individuals. Like Trevor Ariza, you don't know what you're going to get at 36. Carmelo, you don't know what you're going to get at 37. So Wayne Ellington, you don't know what you're going to get at 34. I mean, for me, Kendrick Nunn, and I guess you're going to have to say Kent Bazemore this time, but I would really love for them to shore up the wings with their final choices. If you were in Rob Pelinka's shoes right now, what were some of the last and final tweaks you think you could go ahead and work on with whatever roster space that you have left?
Oh, gosh. I mean, the first thing that comes to mind is, I'd keep Wes Matthews and then maybe it like buy low and pray that Kelly Oubre wants to come back on a minimum or wants to come to LA on a minimum. I don't know. Getting two-way wings is going to be tough. So it's not a position that I'd want to be in. Trying to fix a roster with two minimums salary spots, and it's going to be day 4 of free agency.
Yeah, and supposedly they have a trade exception. The number keeps still getting bandied and tossed around between 4 and 8.3 million. So I'm not exactly sure what the final get for that is for the Lakers on their trade exception that they can use anytime in the next year. And then also as well, there could be something residual from Dennis Schroeder should the Lakers be involved in a sign and trade. So we'll see what happens there. But basically, we're going to be running off right now the 2 minimums that they have left. So if they can go ahead and find some type of help there, that would be greatly appreciated, because it's still, to me, in the wing spot, you always need more wings. You always need to throw out wings there to see what clicks and what doesn't. So I think if you can get some size there at the starting shooting guard, or even in the shooting guard position, and get some size at the small forward position who could possibly hit a 3 now and then, that would be great. But, like you said, we're down to minimums. We're down to a minimum of free agents, so we'll see what happens there. But Spencer, it's been great talking to you, my friend. I hope you'll join us on Friday when we go ahead and meet again after the moratorium to go ahead and give some final closeout thoughts on NBA free agency for week 1. But before we head on out, there's still Basketball University on Medium.com. What you guys talking about at Medium.com?
So I just talked about the Russell Westbrook trade, and I framed it as the good, the bad, and the ugly. I think the good can be the obvious good part is that LeBron's not going to be playing point guard at 37, right? That's the number one place that most Lakers fans looked at when you saw LeBron get injured for the second time in 3 years and actively seek out a new point guard. I think the other good aspects are that I think Russell Westbrook could elevate Anthony Davis because he's a pretty good passer. I think he's actually an underrated passer in terms of like his passing talent. He makes a lot of crazy passes because he tries every pass in the book, and so it'll get. I'm sure it'll be frustrating.
I mean, the guy averages 11 assists. I mean, he should be able to pass at least a little bit.
Yeah, he's a great passer. He also tries every pass, so he'll turn it over. But I think that'll help Anthony Davis a lot. And then the last aspect is that I think the Lakers' offense moves from below average to one of the best in the league when they're in transition. And just because Russell Westbrook's really fast, he creates fast break opportunities. So that's great for LA, and it'll make life easier for everyone if they just generate more fast break opportunities. I think the bad is the perimeter defense. which I think you've talked about. Obviously, the shooting, the fact that he's not an off-ball cutter, and then the ugly part that I mentioned is the fact that I don't think we can trade Russell Westbrook because he's a star that LeBron just recruited. I mean, he didn't trade Kevin Love after 2015. He didn't trade Kyrie Irving after 2015. I don't see him trading Russell Westbrook, and I don't see us getting a package as good as what we just sent out in that situation, because I don't think anyone wants his contract.
Well, with LeBron, now that he's at an older age, he might get a little bit less patient this time around. So we'll see what happens there if he does tire of Russell Westbrook's act quickly, or if Russell Westbrook does become the player we hope that he can become. I'm not asking him to start turning around and miraculously start hitting 40% of his threes, but if he could go ahead and just be something that defenses had to worry about, if he can create a transition game to where the Lakers are the number one transition team or right there at it, that's what I'm hoping for, and obviously provide a lot of relief for LeBron as far as the ball handling and minutes. If he can cut down LeBron's minutes, that helps so tremendously as far as for the playoffs. We'll get to the playoffs as far as that's concerned. I'm still worried about that as far as the fit, the matchups are concerned, because as you and I both know, once it comes down to a 5 or a 7 game series like that, it really gets, matchups are key. And you watch the video, you watch the tape, and where can you get exploited at? Where can you get matchups that benefit you? And as we saw in the bubble, like I've said before, where did it work out for the Lakers against Houston? It worked out that they played off Russell Westbrook, so that easily could happen against the Lakers by another team. I mean, let's say they face against Phoenix again, or they face off against Portland or whoever, and if they play off Russell Westbrook and the Lakers don't make them pay, it could make it much harder for LeBron to go ahead and advance in the playoffs, which won't make him too happy. But again, I think regular season-wise, if they can just push the pace and become the best transition team in the NBA once again, I think that's going to mean a lot of good signs for them going forward. But Spencer, it's been great to have you here. Thank you so much to Bree and also as well Elton. Got much love for you both out there. Thank you so much for watching and listening. Also, Felix, always great to have you here as well. So, Spencer, any last thoughts? I mean, is there any other targets you see out there that you think the Lakers might be interested in, or that you think might be going soon in free agency?
For the Lakers, I don't know, maybe Danny Green, but the Sixers have his birthright, so I'm sure what they're negotiating is just years and dollar amount. And then Andre Iguodala, who was his team option was declined, if I remember. But he's, talk about retirement, how he is as old as it gets. So, like I said earlier, it's slim pickings at this point.
Yeah, it is indeed. But we'll see if there's any more additions to the Lakers roster over the course of the next few days. I'm interested to see how it's going to progress and if there's anything that's going to be finalized or if this is the actual team. Spencer, I hope you can return back for our broadcast because we'd love to have you. You've got the red carpet and you're available to come back anytime. That's based on you, and you let us know if that's the case. So we'll look and see what happens continuously at Lakers Fast Break on Twitter, because I have been retweeting a lot of transactions for the Lakers on Twitter at Lakers Fast Break, or you can just check out the latest news and updates on the Los Angeles Lakers at Lakers Fast Break on Facebook as well. But Spencer, it's been great having you here. Again, much love to Bree Marco, Elton Barrios, and also Felix. Just great having you both, all three of you here. Everyone else that's watched and listened, thank you so much for doing so. Truly appreciate it. It is the Lakers Fast Break. If you have any questions for us, LakersFastBreak@yahoo.com or Lakers Fast Break on Twitter. But Spencer, it's been great having you here. I look forward to our next conversation. I hope it'll be even better because things are looking up for the Lakers, and I'm hoping for some good things even more right here at the Lakers Fast Break podcast. Thank you so much, Jamie. Appreciate the final heart. Didn't think I'd catch it, but I got it, man. All the best. Thank you so much, and we'll talk to everyone soon right here at the Lakers Fast Break podcast.